Joining me is a former FCS All-American, starting punter for Nebraska for 3 years, former black shirt, I might add, Mr. Brian Buschini. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you, Adam?
Dude, I am glorious. I appreciate you taking the time to join me. I assume that you are, as of right now, training and getting ready for the NFL draft. Where are you doing that at?
I'm here in Lincoln. I've got some classes I'm finishing up, so yeah, I'm just going to stick around here. I'll fly to a couple different spots, including down to Dallas this weekend, but home base is here in Lincoln.
Okay, all right. So what are some of the tests that are important for a punter when an NFL team is evaluating you? And obviously, you know, your ability to pin teams inside the 20, what they see on film, your leg strength. But, like, do they look at a 40? Do they look at a vert? Like, I would assume being explosive matters. I don't know. How important are some of these other tests as far as NFL teams evaluating you?
Yeah, from what I've gathered, they're not too important, to be honest. Mostly it just matters how you hit the ball and how it comes off your foot. More often than not, you'll see kickers and punters not test any of the bench or running or anything just because, it's kind of a waste of time at that point.
I got a random question. I did not intend on asking you this, but there's been one punter in the history of football that's been drafted in the first round. Do you know who that guy happens to be?
Oh, was it Ray Guy?
It was Ray Guy, first round by the Oakland Raiders. And actually in practice, when he wasn't punting, because as you know, you can't just sit there and punt all day.
Right.
He would actually go do individual drills with the DBs. Like, that's how athletic he was. So, yeah, Ray Guy. Wow. Did you know that, Jake?
Was Sebastian Janikowski, how high was he drafted?
Was he
in
the
was
first
a kicker,
round?
But yeah, I think he was first round.
Was he?
The kicker, yeah. I guess that's right.
Yeah. Let's be accurate here, Jake. Did you know, though? Did you know it was Ray?
No, I didn't know.
I appreciate the honesty.
He played safety at Southern Miss for a bit, too, I think.
Yeah, he was very athletic. The Ray Guy Award. All right. So, last season, obviously, first time Nebraska's done a lot of things, beat Wisconsin in up teen years, went to a bowl game, won a bowl game, et cetera, had a winning record. Talk to me about your takeaways from last season, the ups, the downs, and how it finished at the end, and what stands out to you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was just an incredible year to kind of break that streak of not going to bowl games and stuff. On special teams, it's pretty well documented that we were extremely up and down. You know, we had some good moments with whether it be fake punts or just helping the team out on the punt or kickoff coverage units. But then there was moments where we had a ton of block kicks and things like that hurt the team obviously more than helped. So, my biggest takeaway was just kind of learning from adversity, learning how to handle different situations that are out of my control. There was a lot of crazy, different spots, whether it be the Rutgers game where I kind of got hurt, but then went back in, whether it be, the bowl game playing in the mud pit of New York or playing on a perfect day like the Colorado game. There's just so many different scenarios that I was just really fortunate to be a part of this year. And so just being able to handle all the different turbulence that came with this season was probably my biggest takeaway. I'm just really looking back on it. I'm really happy with how things turned out, and I feel like I put my best foot forward.
Speaking with former All Big Ten performer, Big Ten punter, Brian Buschini. All right, let's talk about that Rutgers game. So first of all, there's 2 blocked punts in that game. And I'm not going to ask you like whose fault was it, but when punts are blocked like that, what is typically the breakdown? What is going wrong, especially when you have 2 in the same game?
Yeah, miscommunication. That's what it kind of came down to. It was, we had a scenario where Rutgers, we knew they like to rush punts and they like to come after them. And so going into that game, we, we're putting it kind of on one of our guys to, check the look if we saw Rutgers kind of break out into this formation that they did. And we just didn't get it checked. And so 2 guys went to the wrong guy. Someone came free. And then later on in that game, it was a miscommunication on we're rolling out, so we're blocking here. Are we doing a one-step punt? Just a lot of miscommunicative issues. What was wrong with those 2? And trying to think back, the one in Colorado, that was just a misassignment when we played Colorado, that one. And then the one versus Boston College was missed assignment as well. So 2 missed assignments, 2 miscommunications on our block punts this year.
What do you attribute that's a frequent amount of miscommunications or missed assignments. Like, what do you attribute that to?
Yeah, honestly, everyone wants to, put blame on coaches and Coach Foley, but I don't put the blame on him for those missed assignments at all, or because we went over, those things in practice, specifically the Boston College one, we had went over that exact look all week long. And so, when you go out there, you expect the guys just to, make the play, see the look, execute the assignment. And so, everyone just sees Coach Foley as an easy target. But, at the end of the day, it comes down to the guys on the field, taking a deep breath, trusting what their eyes are seeing, not hesitating, not trying to rush the punt off, because you know how common it is for teams to stab and stuff on the defense. So you got to kind of trust what your eyes are seeing and make sure you get the look right, because otherwise you're going to be very liable to get a lot of punts blocked.
When a coach like Coach Foley, right, and you're a punter, so your main job is special teams, so he's your main coach. When a coach like Coach Foley's receiving a lot of heat, like he has this year, what's that like for you as a player? What's your response to that? Do you like get mad at the media? Do you feel bad for the coach? Do you just get self-motivated to try to play better for the coach? Like what's your response to that?
Yeah, it was crazy this year just because a lot of the things were out of my control and out of his control. We had come into the year and, kind of put our trust, expecting, the snapping wasn't going to be an issue because, it hadn't been all off season. It wasn't like there was indications that we should bring someone else in, and then everything kind of just, fell apart there in fall camp. And so, Coach Foley got completely blindsided by that, and there's nothing he could have done about that. And then on our punt side of like the punt scheme, it makes me want to like play better and do my best, but there wasn't a whole lot I can do in that situation. I had punted the ball really, really well, and so I was just kind of trying to just keep doing what I could do, to keep the special teams afloat. And once we kind of got through that initial phase of, having a ton of blocked field goals and punts, like after that Rutgers-Purdue game stretch there, once we settled down and we got John rolling a little bit, the special teams started to play better. But then, obviously, once we had that punt blocked versus Boston College, it kind of set everything back a little bit.
Talk to me about those snaps, because that was something that I think, myself included, people tend to take snaps for granted. I remember Cam Jurgens a few years ago had troubles with snaps. Now he just made the Pro Bowl in the NFL this year for the Eagles. So, he finished strong in his career at Nebraska. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but out of nowhere, snaps were an issue this year on special teams. I don't know how does something like that happen? Because it's not easy, but it's something that's so taken for granted. It just seems so basic. How does something like that happen, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's, pretty mental, to be honest. Just with, you're having a new guy come in and it's his first time snapping in the pressure environment. And, it's one of those things where you can do it a million times in practice and do it well, but then once you get under the game environment, you can't let your technique change. You can't get, nervous and stuff. And, I really appreciate both our snappers this year. They worked, extremely hard to try to fix those issues. And Aiden, Flaggy, he came off, he was just a student on campus and came in and, once they pulled Kentucky, they put him in there and he was put in a really difficult spot. And I thought he did, the best he could. And, I was really appreciative of that. But yeah, at this level, the reason why you don't hear about snapping issues too much is because the level of snapping is so high that a bad snap isn't necessarily one that just rolls back on the ground. It's, one that's not right on the right hip of the punter at, the right height. And on field goals, a bad snap is, one where it's not hitting the perfect target zone of the holder with the laces straight up. So, fans don't always see that, and they just see, the snap got to the holder, so that must have been a good snap. And that was like kind of the level we were working at last year with Marco. Obviously, he was working on getting his laces perfect every time, perfect punt snap every time. And obviously this season we were just kind of more focused on trying to not have the ball, roll back there. So it makes, everything obviously a bit harder with, John's job, especially because if I'm moving the ball around and stuff a lot, it just makes it harder on the kicker for him to trust it. So I thought John kicked, super well this year. And again, I thought Aiden did such a good job this year just because he was just a regular student last year and, came into the football team to help out. But, he did his best. But I think with the portal pickup of Kevin next year, I would expect that, that position will help John and the punter next year a little bit better too.
All right, so let's go back to that Rutgers game. As you mentioned, your back got hurt, you were banged up, you stayed in the game. So talk to me about, I don't know, like how did your back feel? How bad was your back bothering you and staying in the game? You ended up playing really, really well. Just talk to me about that game and kind of what that was like.
Yeah, that game was quite the whirlwind. So Wednesday that week, they approached me just about how, fast Rutgers rushes and how I should try to do one-step punts this week just because we're trying to get the ball off and not get it blocked. So going in that game, I was planning on just doing the one-step, so I wasn't expecting, obviously, to have any blocked because my operation time was quick. But, the guy came free on that first one, and, I got hit, kind of flipped around a little bit, and that screwed up my back. I kind of got not sure exactly what it was, muscle strain or something. But, I was in pretty good amount of pain throughout the rest of the game, but the thought of coming out never really crossed my mind. I've never really seen punters come out of the game, so I never really thought about it. And so it kind of, I don't know, in my mind, I just felt like just go out there and kick it every time and see what happens. I don't really have, my back's all messed up. I just got destroyed, so there's not a ton of pressure to execute perfectly because no one's going to expect you to. So I think taking the pressure off and just going out there and kicking it each time helped. And, our defense played so well because anytime you have two blocked punts in a game, you're probably going to lose. But, that goal line stand after the second blocked punt was just one of the most incredible things ever. And at the end of the game, we got the fake in and was able to hit that long one at the very end to help put the defense in a good spot. But, that was a fun game for sure. And, obviously if we don't win that one, I don't know if we're going to New York or anything. So, I'm really glad that the defense was able to come through for us there.
Yeah, so talk to me. I think was it 2 times you threw on a fake punt for a first down this year? Was it twice?
Yeah, it was twice. That was really fun to get that in my last year of college.
Yeah. So what's that like? All right, so it's a fake and you got to throw it. I don't even know if you warm up your arm before the game. What's that like before you actually snap the ball and do the fake? And then when you go 2 for 2 on the year, you have the highest completion percentage of anybody on the roster this year, by the way. When you go 2 for 2 on fake punt completions on the year, what's that like after that happens?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. Everyone on the sidelines was having fun. We really felt strong about the 2 looks that we had, the one to J-Lo versus Rutgers, and then Isaac just popping out of the shield. That one was like 100%. I mean, I would have had to mess that one up pretty bad for that not to work. But, everyone, on the sidelines is super excited. We get the first down, hopefully bring some momentum back to our offense. Well, actually, on both of the fake punts this year, we didn't end up scoring. But, I don't really – the only time I kind of warm up my arm is on the sideline. If I'm taking a snap from the snapper, I'll just throw it back to him a little extra hard. But you don't want to show anything you're doing because, coaches are up in the box and stuff. So, there's no specific warm up or anything I do.
All right, last question, and then I appreciate your time. But, all right, so I remember before you got the black shirt, I think Jake and I actually discussed it here on the show. And it was proposed to me, what if Buschini got a black shirt? And I was like, hey, I'm for it, man. Basically, a punter is a part of the defense. The way you played and you were gutted it out in the Rutgers game, I think it was right after the Rutgers game, I was like, hey, man, I'm all for it. And I don't think Jake shared exactly the same sentiment, even though he's a big fan of you, but he felt like black shirts maybe belonged to specifically just defensive players. And I don't know if, Jake, if you want to chime in, you can. But yeah, go ahead. If you got something, go ahead. I don't want to just pin it on you, then not give you a chance to speak. But my main question was when you got the black shirt, that was the whole point of this. It's supposed to be a positive question. What was that like, and were you surprised?
Yeah, I was surprised, and it's definitely the most cherished, thing I have coming out of Nebraska because Coach said that it was my teammates who told him to give it to me. So that meant really a lot. a lot to know how much they, thought of me and cared about me, to want him to give me that. But yeah, it's probably the coolest thing I've ever been given in my life, just because it's such a, storied tradition here. And I try to do my best to, show I could tackle guys and hit guys pretty good. So I think I did a little bit, the black shirt way, but I'm not out there for 60, 70 plays a game hitting guys. But yeah, it was a huge honor. And I know it was kind of a polarizing topic, but, I'm super excited to have earned one. And I think I did, my best to uphold that tradition.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time. Good luck in the NFL. I know I speak for a lot of Husker fans when I say we're going to be rooting for you. And thank you for the way you represented the football program in this great state while you were here. I know you're still here, but during your time here as a player specifically.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Adam, for everything you do. And you guys do such a good job of covering our team. It's been an honor playing here the last few years, and I can't wait to see what comes next.
All right. Good luck in the future, my man.